So we're taking maybe a bit of an unconventional approach of we want to go slow at the beginning to go fast later on. As I've spoken to so many people that are in franchising, franchisors, or just have led franchise organizations, you don't want to right out the gate try to sell 10, 20, 50 within the first year just to show that you have all of this momentum.
If you're an emerging franchise founder, you already know this. The jump from 10 to 100 units is where most brands stall out. Not because the concept isn't strong, but because the founder is drowning in chaos. I'm Guy Coffey, franchisor, franchisee, and growth strategist. I've been where you are, and I know what it takes to build a brand that scales without burning out, selling out, or losing control. That's why I created the Franchise Scale-Up Show. Every week, I'll share the playbooks, the red flags, and the mindset shifts to separate the brands that stall from the ones that scale. So if you're serious about protecting your vision and multiplying your brand, hit subscribe right now. This is the Franchise Scale-Up Show. I'm Guy Coffey. Let's get to work. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Franchise Scale-Up Show with me, Guy Coffey. And today I have two very special guests from the Oakwell Beer Spa concept, Jessica and Damien Zuawi.
There you go. Zuawi.
Did I get it right? Zuawi. All right, there we go. It's not as easy as you think, but welcome to the show. I'm so glad to have you guys here. And we'll go into a little bit of my own experience at Oakwell here soon, but just tell us a little bit about your backgrounds first.
Yeah, so I'm Jessica. This is my husband and co-founder, Damien. We started Oakwell Beer Spa in 2021 after traveling the world for 14 months, backpacking to 25 countries, looking for interesting business ideas that we could bring back to the United States and franchise. Our travels took us to Japan, Southeast Asia, all over Europe. We saw a lot of really interesting things, but we really wanted to find a concept that had never been seen in the United States before, but also that merged two of our favorite things, wellness and hospitality. We ended up finding a beer spa in Eastern Europe. It was our first time ever experiencing such a thing or even hearing of a beer spa. Naturally, I mean, beers and spas, so I'm like, what could be a better combination?
Sure.
And we really took that and started exploring other spa cultures around the world. So we went to onsens in Japan, jjimjilbangs in South Korea, and we felt like, this is something that the U.S. is missing. So fast forward to today, we have two locations. We just started franchising across the U.S.
And we've always been very interested by hospitality. I mean, by nature, we love hosting, we love having people over. So we've always, I think, thought that hospitality would be a way to go. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. Coffee shop, restaurants, it's different when you cook for 10 people you love and then you need to cook for 100 people and need to sell the food. It's just completely different. So how can we've always wanted to create something in hospitality without reinventing the wheel, but how could we make a significant impact in a specific market like the US? We're very diverse. I'm originally from Europe, from France. Jesse's from here. So we can take the best of both worlds and really implement different concepts into a brand new market while making sure that it's still Americanized. Because there's a different approach here in wellness and well-being. And, when we discovered that beer spa in Poland, Jess was like, that's it. I think this is the road. This is the path that we should definitely consider. And we did. And we did buy beer spas, wine spas, Hansen, Jinjiban, those thalassotherapy in Europe. Those are spa wellness facilities located near the sea, any ocean, the sea, and they pump the seawater and create those water circuits for you to navigate through. And all of that was eye-opening for us. And we realized, okay, this cross-check the love of hospitality, cross-check there's a purpose behind helping you to feel better, right? That's, I think, the most simplistic definition of a day spa, right? But as well, helping you to reconnect
Sure.
with your significant other or your best friend by sharing a glass of something. As a
Yeah.
fellow French, we do take a seat and it's a good time sharing a glass of wine, which end up being a bottle of wine, right? It's the same for
Or
beer,
two.
wine. So how can we combine the best of both worlds? And mainly, very importantly, for Jess' point, how to break the stigma that this spa was only meant to be for women in a market like North America, the US,
Yeah.
mainly, and with a bit of beer, wine, and any self beverage, craft beverage we have on tap, and adding a specific word into our brand, suddenly you are not attracting just only one specific audience, but so many other
Yeah.
people. And that was our
Yeah.
main goal.
Well, thanks for sharing that. It's, just experiencing it myself. And as I mentioned, my wife had gone to the one here in Highlands Ranch to help celebrate a friend's birthday. And I'm always interested in the origin stories of how things start. And yours is probably the most globally sourced concept that I've had on the show. So thanks for that and bringing the global influence here. But it's about the innovation that you guys have. It's pretty unique here in the States. I love the combination of I don't drink, I don't do anything, but I love the combination because most people do, and there's a social element to that. And combining social and wellness, sometimes they're considered divergent paths, And in this case, it's not. It's very, very social. I could see how the place was set up for social engagement, outdoor patio, tables, chair, like very comfortable. Common areas for like cooling down, which is really nice and beautifully laid out. So I think your story is about innovation, definitely differentiation. And then, as you said, Damien, my wife is every other weekend, it seems she's going on a girls only trip. I call them GOTS, girls only trips. And I'm like, fine. And she's like, well, get your lazy friends to go off on a trip with you. It's fine. Right. But a lot of those trips are a hike combined with a spa somewhere, and it's all the ladies are going. It's all the ladies are going. And sometimes you'll get, a couple or things like that. But to bring this, whether it's, a couple, significant others, or with a group of friends and doing this that's also another aspect of the innovation besides just the incredible space layout. And we'll have some photos and images that accompany this. You guys did a really great job. I definitely want to talk about that a little bit. How did you guys, we're going to go dive into the franchise. So you've got this cool place, a place downtown Denver that's so cool. I've never been there because I'm old and live in the suburbs. But then you brought one out to the suburbs. And so I got to experience it and it was amazing. But how did it come up that you guys are like, let's grow through franchising? Because there's lots of different ways to do it, grow your concept. But how did franchising first get brought up to you? Or was it one of the ideas right from the get-go when you guys were out touring places? And what was your first step in becoming a franchise system? Because you are a franchise system.
Yeah. So it was pretty early on that we knew we wanted to franchise. When we were first exploring different concepts around the world, we were looking for something that we could scale. We found lots of cool things like Mario Kart racing in the streets of Tokyo. There's all sorts of quirky animal cafes like hedgehog cafes and things like that. And while it's a really neat experience, they're not really concepts that you can create systems around and can scale. So we knew early on that we don't want to be a mom and pop business. We want to create something national, maybe something global. We want, a legacy that we can leave to our future children. And we wanted to grow something big. And naturally, the question is, do you go company owned and just do this all yourself, or do you go the franchise route? So even when we had our first location, we were talking about, which path that we wanted to take. Oakwell is a bit of a hefty investment, as you saw. Like there's a lot of construction involved, the interior design, the plumbing, the equipment. So it's a large capital investment, and for us to take that on our own, to do a couple at the beginning is fine, but when you're trying to do this at scale, having the capital to be able to open 10, 20, 30 of them ourselves, you can't go quite as fast as you could when you are leveraging other people. The
Hmm.
other thing is, franchising really suits our skill set well. So while, yes, I think we're good operators, I think we're even better coaches. We love building systems. We love mentoring people. We love developing SOPs and documentation and teaching people how to do things. And so we felt like our skill set is really better adapted for being a franchisor, for creating something and making it in a way that it can be replicated easily. And then going out and teaching other people how to do that. That's something
Yeah.
that is, well suited for our skill set, but also something that we are a lot more passionate about than us just, running these spas by ourselves.
Right.
So it was when we had our first location about a year in that we decided, okay, franchising is the route that we're going to take. But we knew that we had to open a second location ourselves before we could start franchising. The first location, we were extremely underfunded. A lot of the construction we did ourselves. We were the
Okay.
construction cleaning crew. We ran all of the Cat 5 cables. We installed and painted cabinetry. We installed the partitions. We got all of our furniture from auction. So this was we were doing build out during COVID. So unfortunately, a lot of businesses were closing, but fortunately for us, we were able to get our walk-in cooler, our 3-comp sink, all of these things at a very cheap rate because we couldn't, buy them new. And so we were able to open this with the limited budget, but that's not at all what we would expect franchisees to do. So we knew we had to go through the process again, hire a general contractor, an interior designer, and really get an accurate idea of construction timelines and costs, and also just going through the process of hiring a team and training them all from scratch to make sure that we had our system well locked down. And so
Right.
that's what we just got done doing with our Highlands Ranch location in April of last year.
I think about as
Yeah.
well to monitor the success of a second store,
Hmm.
not too close, but not too far from the flagship location,
Yeah.
and being able to see if a market like the suburbs can handle, two locations. And again, we're about to celebrate the first year for the new location, 5 years for the first location. And in fact, we had to build a second one because the first one, we had a good problem is we were fully committed 7 days a week, at 99% occupancy, which is good, but not good at the same time because there's no more room. You want to grow with the recurring revenue membership, right? You want to grow
Right.
with packing, some sorts of 3, 4, 5 package you sell, right? Like in the
Yeah.
way it works in the industry, and we just couldn't. So we had to build the second one, go again through that painful process of building something from scratch, brand new, which has actually helped us to rethink how we built the first one. We took in consideration all of the feedback from all of the whale guests we had, and we've reapplied that to the second location, which became the prototype
Hmm.
for the
For
franchise
for the
around
yeah.
the country. And
Right.
to your point, I think it's very important. Sure, you're limited as a founder that has massive big dreams. You are limited to capital. But I think for us, we've always dreamed to build something that people's gonna remember. But we don't want to indoctrinate people with, I think, company-owned stores. Instead, we'd like to, I think, bring new people in, being passionate about hospitality, being entrepreneurs alike, like us, in the way that they can be disciplined by applying exactly what you tell them to apply so they can run the same exact operation like we do at the flagship location. And the
Right.
third thing is offering the opportunity for anyone who has dreamed to be an entrepreneur business owner, small business owner, and make an impact in their own local community. Because at the end of the day, when you franchise, the franchisor can always take back the store if something goes wrong. So for us, the most important thing is to make an impact and allow the other future business owners to be able to live their own dream as well within the boundaries of the brand, the SOP, the best practices we have in place.
This is a quick break to thank you for listening. Every week, we are getting more and more people listening to the show, and this growth is helping me to improve it and make it even more helpful to you. My intention for this show is to help more people win in business and life. To that end, I have a favor to ask. If you know of an entrepreneur that would benefit, please hit the share button and shoot them a text with the link. Back to the show. Make this a great day. Yeah. It's interesting, thanks for that color on that, Damien. And I think if anybody's looking at a franchise, in terms of becoming a franchisee, the route that you guys are taking is certainly a very strong foundation route. And it's pretty self-aware of you to be like, okay, our Rhino, that's the initial location in a really trendy area of Denver. It sounds like it was just going gangbusters. You're at full capacity. You could have easily said, yeah, we can do this. We've done it before, but you recognize that you've done it in an unconventional way, in an unconventional period of time. You had I'm sure some more challenges because of the shutdowns, but also got some benefits out of it, which also goes to show your entrepreneurial nature is entrepreneurs, if there's a challenge, they kind of flip it over and be like, oh, what's the advantage here too? And then you said, we need to do this again. So that if someone wants to open one of these in St. Louis, we can be like, this is how we did it in Highlands Ranch. And this is exactly how you can do it in Chesterfield, Missouri, outside of St. Louis, or whatever the case may be. So that's really self-aware. A lot of people wouldn't do that. Plus you have two corporate stores for more proof of concept. You've also tested it in an urban market, very urban, very young market, and a very fairly affluent area. Highlands Ranch is one of the more affluent places in a suburb, in a location that is, when you're in there, it's beautiful. And it's not like that location on the outside isn't. It's an office building, basically. It's not in North Cherry Creek. It's not in some super high end. I mean, it's high end, but it's not like a retail shopping district, So you're also proving the concept in two vastly different demographics. And I'm guessing the Highlands Ranch location is not quite to the maturity level of Rhino, but I just know from when my wife was trying to book that party, it took a while to get in. So I was happy for you guys.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. And, thank you so much for allowing me to have an experience there yesterday. I got to say it was fantastic, from the front desk concierge person opening the door for me to describing the services that I was going to go through and the different reasons for the different mixtures of hops and barley and all these kind of things. And it was just high level of customer service in a really uniquely built out and very functional space. I don't know, is one of you guys a designer or something like that? How do you guys come up with this? Because it's like you're going into a little bit of a different world when you go in there.
You were an architect, engineer,
In a different
doctor,
life.
scientist in a different life, for sure.
Okay. Well, it's worked out really well.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple, just from being in the space, I had a couple observations besides the beauty. Is your signage is really good. And from an operational perspective, if I was going to be a franchisee of this, I love the membership model. You can build on that recurring revenue. You can have, some of your capacity taken up before the month even starts. But I also loved all the add-ons that you guys had, whether it's drinks, I really appreciated the wide selection of non-alcoholic things you had. Because at first when I told the gal, I'm like, yeah, I don't drink. She's like, oh. And she's like, well, what do you want? And I was like, I don't know, something without alcohol. And she's like, well, we have this. And I was like, oh, man, there's like 8 different things on there. So when somebody's sitting in there going through the experience, especially with their friends, with their friends and things like that, they can add on to the bill while they're in there, get more experience, have a better time, and you guys are getting the additional revenue. And I also like the fact that you had signage for franchises. Like franchises are available, like very subtle, but in every room there was something in there like interested. Like that's super smart. I mean, it took us like 3 years to do that in Frenchies. So kudos to you. So it was great. So you decided to get into franchising. You're just starting out, and you're deciding on what your sales channels are going to be. Now, I noticed in there you have fantastic Instagrammable stuff with the bathtub, with the bubbles, the balls in it, and contests and things like that. And organic social content is a very big trend right now. It is the way to go. It's cheap. It builds trust, builds exposure, and it gets people in, so, but in terms of an actual hard sales channel, what route are you guys going, and how did you decide on that?
And are you speaking about franchise sales?
Franchise sales.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're taking maybe a bit of an unconventional approach of we want to go slow at the beginning to go fast later on. As I've spoken to so many people that are in franchising, franchisors, or just have led franchise organizations, you don't want to right out the gate try to sell 10, 20, 50 within the first year just to show that you have all of this momentum. And then you don't have the support to back them up. So really early on, we knew, going the route of a broker or a consultant or franchise sales or whatever you want to call it. They want to make their money, right? So they want to sell as many as possible. And we also are big believers in before we hire someone to do a job, we need to know how to do that job. So we're going the very old school DIY route to begin with. So Damien and I are participating in podcasts like this. We are spending countless hours on LinkedIn looking for existing franchisees of other brands, that want to diversify their portfolio. So non-competitive brands. So food service, other wellness concepts, but that are maybe more waxing or hair cutting. FDDs are publicly available through a few different states online. And so that has a list of their current and previous franchisees that we can then look them up on LinkedIn, find their email address, cold email them. We are, participating in different franchise conferences, leveraging our network. And our plan is to sell our first 5 to 10 on our own. We've also selected 4 strategic markets that we want to go into. We're not selling franchises all over the United States. We don't have the team to support that yet. Right now, it's just Damien and I, and we want to make sure that we can be very hands-on with these first few. And we're going to be the ones helping with site selection, with, navigating construction management, with grand opening. And so as much as I would love to pretend that we can fly from Florida to California to Washington and back to Denver again all within a week,
your private jet, right?
Not practical. I know, right? I'm still waiting on one of those.
Me too.
So we've picked Texas, Arizona, Kansas City, and Minneapolis as the 4 target markets. And those are all within an hour-and-a-half flight from Denver, just to make sure that, those first few franchisees are your validators. They're going to make or break us. And so we want to make sure that we're very selective, but that also they're in locations that are more convenient for us to be able to support.
We do have, I think the typical, digital marketing is what we do for direct to consumers, right? So we're as well applying best practices you have for direct to consumers to business with, on websites. We have a website with a form that gathers leads, and then we've got marketing automations in place, and a few very easy tools to use to be able to select or said, maybe I'm sorry, not right now, but later because your state doesn't qualify yet. We're not ready yet. And then, jumping on the first call, on the second call, and reviewing
Hmm.
FDD for the people who want qualified and wants to know more about it. Just us, we need to know exactly how we need to introduce your concept to people that always roll their eyes like, what the heck is this? Are you really betting beer? This is the first question. And secondly, knowing how to say no. Because, I think what we've learned from other successful people is, I wish I didn't say yes to everyone at the beginning, right? Instead of saying no, 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 or getting a no from someone after reviewing a FTD. I said, oh, shoot, I really wanted you. And you tell me no. So we have to learn first. And this again needs to go through, as an entrepreneur, it's like running a marathon. It needs to be painful. And I think this is a training moment for us. We take this as well as a big training. Like, okay, learning how to say no, learning how to get no's. And if you say yes, how to start to really assess and analyze all of the risks for both sides before we sign and get married together for 10 years or 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I really respect your slow growth method. I think that's, as soon as you start selling a lot, you have to start selling a lot. Basically, it's like getting on a. I always picture as a treadmill. Probably from my fitness background, is like once you're on that and the sales are coming in fast, you just have to keep up with that. And then a lot of times the operational support, the franchisee support, you find out that maybe the processes and the tools that you have in place aren't built for scale, and which is a normal part of the process. Nothing's perfect right from the start. You need time to iterate, adapt, and get better. And that's really hard to do if you're sprinting on the sales treadmill. So kudos to you for doing that, choosing that way. And I know that you've already freed up some of your operational capacity, because I met Devin in the spa yesterday, and he's your regional manager. And I was like, well, he's a super nice guy. Like, everybody in your spa was incredibly kind and knowledgeable, and knew what they were doing, including Devin. And he said, I'm the regional manager. I'm like, you have more than two? And he's like, no, this is what we got. We got two right now. And I was like, smart move, because you can't run your corporate stores and build out a franchise organization the way you need to spend time doing that at the same time. So I'm guessing I'm kind of putting words in your mouth, but was that an intentional step so that you guys would be free operationally and mind space wise to really focus on getting these first, I call them pioneers. And it's the most exciting part. I was telling Devin yesterday, like, it's all exciting right now, right? Everything's new and you're growing, and it keeps on getting better. But like in the beginning, especially with these pioneer people that are coming on that are like, I love your idea, I want to do this in my community. And you're like, all right, let's go, and you want to choose those right people, and you got to have the check boxes. And I will say, for our beauty brand, we said no to a ton of people, even a ton of people that got to the last stage in our process, which is our discovery day. And we'd spend a day with them in the studio, and then we'd spend a dinner with them, and we'd spend the next day in education. And a lot of times we just said no. We said no to over 50% of the people that wanted to say yes. And we still made mistakes. And guess what? We probably said no to some people that would have actually done really well too, And so I have a friend that grew a really large, it's a global system now. And when they were first starting out, they would sell to anybody. And then they got super scientific about it, and they wouldn't sell to anybody. And they had all these filters, and they were still wrong half the time. And so they went back to like, we'll sell to like not anybody, but no one bad. I'm certainly not recommending that, but it's like when you interview someone for a job, they can interview really well. And then 2 weeks later you walk in the business and they're working, and you're like, is this the same person that I interviewed 2 weeks ago that was well dressed and had a smile on their face? So, there will be some people that, may not be the right fit, but like this slowing it down and having no outside pressure, and you guys getting to know these people is it's just a way to build a solid foundation, because your pioneer people are going to be your validation, and it's going to save you money on franchise development and marketing and everything else down the line. Plus, it's going to be exciting, and there's going to be success going all around. So I love the choices that you guys are making in that regard. Any big lessons that you guys have learned so far that, like, when you first started out, like, this is how it's going to go, and then the rubber hits the road, and you're like, that's not how it's going to go. We have to do it this way. Anything like that you've come, and that could be whether it's, team, staff, vendor selection, choices in the spa, or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a million things of lessons learned, right? And it's hard to pick just one. Everything from marketing campaigns that we invested a lot of time and money in that we thought were going to be a big success, and they ended up flopping. Our plumbing design was a huge one. I mean, you can imagine the plumbing that's involved in our build out,
Yeah.
right? So we have these private spa suites. There's a hydrotherapy tub in each room. You have a shower in each room. Our first location, we had all of the drains just connected to each other, one room after the other after the other. But that means that if hair naturally that goes down the drain gets caught in room one, and you have all of these other private spa suites downstream of that, then a backup in one room means that all 4 rooms are now flooding in the middle of a fully booked day.
Right.
That was a fun one. So now we've put in redundant plumbing systems to where if the shower clogs, we have an extra drain that's on the edge of the shower, another one in the middle of the room. So now we've gone probably a bit overboard with sewer drains. But man, the day that, all 4 rooms started backing up, and there was fully booked, and it was our first year of operations, and we're having to call an emergency plumber out to snake the lines.
Yeah.
That made us really think twice about how we design our plumbing systems.
Well, that's a
Anything you
great
can.
example. I mean, and
Yeah,
everybody's got those stories, right?
yeah, yeah, don't launch your brand new booking system at the same time like your new store. That's not gonna work. We used to use different apps, connect everything together with some sorts of integration and bridge with different tools. And then it's all right, enough of all of that. We're gonna have a one software that we're gonna vet, technology company we're gonna vet that does that for everything, that includes fund, POS, right? Reservation system and all of that, and helps me as well to build my own booking flow. And we launch the new POS before launching the new store. That's smart. We need to teach everyone the new POS, how it works in behind the scenes. But launching the new POS plus the new booking flow linked to the new POS plus the new store. No, do not do that. Rome hasn't been built in one night, so the Oakwell shouldn't be going to be built in one night either. And
Right.
actually, this has led to ghost booking. So you pretty much have 3 people booking a Saturday at 3 p.m. and they all land on the thank you page saying your booking is confirmed. But in reality, you only have 1 people that got the spot because there's no 3 spot at 3 p.m. And
Right.
then 2 weeks later, we've got 3 people coming on a Saturday afternoon, fully booked for a 3 p.m. appointment. So, I'm here for a 3 p.m. appointment. Oh, me too. And me too. Oh, okay. And I only
Hope you
one
guys
room.
like each other. Yeah.
So,
Thanks
anyway,
for sharing those stories, because it's, there's no shame, like every business is going through this. And to be honest, in the franchise world, the more stories that you guys have, the less stories franchisees are going to have like that. So it's actually a really good thing to just be like open and honest about it and be like, yeah, like everything is not figured out, and we're going to make mistakes in the future as well. I've shared this before, but one of my friends, is the founder of Anytime Fitness, and long time ago, they made us buy all these like health bars and all this stuff. And they came out with their own line, and it was a debacle. Like the supply chain was bad. The food was bad. Like the marketing was bad. And the first thing they did when they stepped on stage at the annual conference is acknowledge, like, wow, that was not a success. But they followed it up with saying, like, and guess what? we're going to make some other decisions to try to stay relevant and current and keep on becoming better. And a lot of them will work out and some of them won't, but we're not going to hide and say like, we're not going to just sit here and be like, oh, we don't want to make any mistakes. And I'm sure you guys are going to have the same thing. And yeah, it goes back to like your slow growth, approach, intentional approach is it's a lot easier to do that with 5 to 10 people that you have regular conversations with than if you're trying to onboard 30 people across the country. You just don't have the same cohesiveness. So, again, and your model is, and like once it's up, I was thinking about this. I was talking about it with my wife, Stephanie, because this is what we do. We're kind of franchise nerds. You guys are process nerds, which is really good for franchisors. And I was like, like once it's built and it's up and operating, like there's not a lot of competition. Like you just got to get the word out there and get people in to try it. Cause I can't imagine someone not enjoying it. I was alone in there for 90 minutes and I was in seventh heaven. Right. So, it's like, once you do that, but you have a lot of things that the value, one of the biggest value adds, I would think, is in all the design work that you guys have done, all the sourcing, the taste, the textures, the feel, the processes. Everything was a process in there. You could tell that was being run really well. Because I interacted with 4 different people in your spa in 90 minutes, and everybody knew where to pick up the ball. And that's really good. That's a really good solid basis for going forward. And I think you have a really innovative concept. I love membership plus add-ons plus cool factor plus Instagrammable, like a lot of things that are going for it. And obviously you guys are doing things the right way. And I wish all the best for you. And, if there's anything I can do to help you guys besides this, would love to do that. Is there anything that if someone was watching and they're like, hey, I've thought about owning a franchise, or I own a bunch of, wellness franchises, but I don't have anything like this, we're going to have all your contact information. But, if you could, what would be the top 3 like check boxes that you would look for in a potential franchisee for Oakwell, say down in Phoenix? So it's going with your hour-and-a-half flight away. So it's not someone in Fort Myers, Florida, that's going to take you half a day to get there. But what are the top 3 things that you're looking for in a potential franchisee? Because I just wanted to get back to, especially Damien, the way that you say hospitality just makes it sound so much better than the way Americans say it. And I really appreciate that, because people in hospitality, I've never been in it, but I know that they don't just have to be good in doing one thing. Usually hospitality is a client experience. There's food and beverage. There's housekeeping, there's maintenance, there's big facilities. Like if someone's in hospitality, they have a big toolbox, and they've got a lot of processes around it. And I can't say it as cool as you do, but I would imagine that would be one of your check boxes, because there's a lot of things to manage and figure out to make that just an exceptional experience, a premium experience for someone that's visiting in Oakwell.
Sure. Just a little note on hospitality, with being hospitable. Being hospitable is, a lot of people say it's being caring, but it goes more than that, because the level of care in such a new concept like ours require you to be a risk taker. Because, again, whenever you open this type of concept, people are going to roll their eyes and ask, do you really bath in beer? And you're going to need to teach them for 5 minutes, explain to them why they're not bathing in beer and why you shouldn't bath in beer unless you're 20-something at university.
Yeah, the frat party.
First of all, a good host for your guest. You're led by your guest. You're not led by anything else. Your guest's not gonna pay you if they have not spent a really good time. Okay, mostly in a brand new concept like this as well. Secondly, you're led as well by your team. most of the decisions made, most of the management in hotels, restaurants, bars, or even work concept, it's human led. Sure, you can talk about AI, you can put as many tools as you want. If that person doesn't show up at 7:30 a.m. to open the store with a dream team, the guest showing up at 8 a.m. is gonna show in a space where it's half ran, and you're gonna feel that through the experience. So you need a good leader. You need someone that anticipates. You're talking about maintenance and all that. We do a lot of maintenance, prevention maintenance. We do a walkthrough like you would do at a restaurant or at a hotel, and you'll check every single thing through the tiny little screw that might risk you to hurt you when you're walking barefoot in a sauna or near a tub or in a shower. And I think the last very important point about being hospitable is leaving everything outside. Everyone has a very, it's tough on that. You can be healthy and suddenly you're not. You can have uh, personal challenges in your life outside of the workplace. How do you make sure that this is not felt by the guest coming in?
Mm.
And this takes a big efforts, big exercise on you, on constantly splitting yourself from outside and inside. And that's what we teach to our managers, to our team, where it's just more than a simple job of bartending or spa attendant or even general manager. It's
Mhm.
truly a whole mindset, and it is easy to enforce and hard to teach.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine your recruiting process is a little bit more complicated than most because it's a position where they have to have the right attitude, as you mentioned, regardless of what's going on in the personal life, right? And there was a fair bit of technical knowledge that explaining. I missed out on one of the beer explanations because I just said I didn't drink, but my wife said, "Oh, you should have gone through that. You shouldn't have said anything because like the level of knowledge that they have over the beers that they have on tap is really impressive." And but I saw it come out in other ways too. Just with the explanation of what was in the tub and the mix that I chose and why I chose it. Like mine had the arnica in it for healing bumps and bruises from playing hockey and living a long time. Yeah, I walked out of there feeling absolutely fantastic. It's kind of like leaving a massage, right? Because I was in the zero gravity massage chair before I left, which is also fantastic. Um, but one last thing before we land the plane. Thanks for sharing everything on your concept and sharing your generosity with allowing me to go have an experience there. But just a fun question at the end here. When you guys are coming up with new ideas, because I'm sure this is a 24/7 thing that's on your mind. I've lived it. I know how it goes, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But are your best ideas between you and Jessica and Damien, or maybe Devin as well? Are they happening over coffee, or are they happening over beer or wine?
Oh, it depends on the time of day, let's be honest, right? We started before, let's say 4 p.m. coffee, but the best ideas are, of course, had over beer or wine.
Yeah, or even when you have enough space as a manager or a young leader or an entrepreneur, you're by yourself, you're running, you're training for a marathon. You have your own space, and that's where there's no distractions. Not even someone saying, maybe that's a bad idea. Just simply constant brainstorming and being able to have your best ideas that then you can present to people who can accept it. Usually that's the way best ideas happen to me.
Yeah,
Over
yeah.
beer is always a good idea.
I always say everything happens in a conversation, a real conversation. And sometimes it's just having those thoughts out loud with someone that know, trust, and love, to give you feedback on it. Also love the fact that you're a husband and wife co-founder team. That's what Stephanie and I have done, changed our kids' lives. We started it before we had kids, and they grew up in it. One of my kids is working down in Australia in the Anytime Fitness corporate office there. And I just love a lot of the choices that you guys are making, and really appreciate you guys sharing your story with us here. And hopefully one of the listeners, it resonates. They learn something from this, if they're a founder, if they're a leader of an organization. And maybe someone's even interested in opening an Oakwell somewhere in their own community. So thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Steve. This was great.
All right. Take care. That wraps up today's episode of the Franchise Scale Up Show. If this gave you a strategy you can put into play, please share it with the one founder who needs the help. You might save them months of pain. If you're ready to go deeper, whether it's building your support infrastructure, accelerating territory sales, or preparing for private equity, go to guycoffey.com. That's GUYCOFFEY, and book a free franchise growth strategy call. I only partner with founders who are committed to scaling without losing control. If that's you, I'd love to connect. Until next time, protect your vision, move fast, and scale smart. I'm Guy Coffey. Talk soon.